may not know this, but I'm not a big fan of the term right in the feels. Basically, it feels like something millennials use when they have a void of how to express themselves, right? Instead of saying like, I feel sad, or I feel mad, or I feel just generally upset, they say, that hit me right in the feels. You know, it's kind of like how we use the word awkward now. It's it's a placeholder for a lack of description. So I'm not a huge fan of it. So there's that. On Tuesday nights, I lead a chess club at the Moorhead Public Library. King's Gambit is actually a chess term, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So I've been leading this club for about a little over a year now, probably about a year and a half. The premise of the club is just I had no one to play chess with. I really wanted to play chess with people, so I started a club. And if you've ever been to a public library, you know all of the kinds of people that go there. Yeah, okay, enough said, I suppose. You get a lot of variety of people, right? Well, I eventually got to the point, maybe, I don't know, 8 months ago, where my club is decently sized, right? I made a lot of connections with the Fargo Chess Club. We have about, I'd say, roughly 10 people come a week, which, I mean, is a decent number for a game most people don't play anymore. So the club has been growing is the point. And with that, it seems like Tuesday nights at the Moorhead Library has also grown. And a few months ago, there was this individual who came in. Now, I had no idea who this person was. He didn't come for club, he just came to the public library. His name, I feel comfortable sharing it, is Kelly. I found out since then. But Kelly, maybe even someone here knows him. Kelly, when I first saw him, I hadn't met him, Kelly seemed like he was just drunk. Right? He was constantly slurring his words. He was stumbling everywhere. He was talking to people that you have to have the drunk confidence to talk to, right? When you just walk up to people and act like you're best friends or something. You could just tell something was off. And honestly, he bothered me. I'm trying to have a chess club here, a sophisticated game of thought and, critical thinking, and this drunk comes and bothers and disrupts my club. And it was frustrating. And then I saw him there again the next week. And again, he comes over. And I want you guys to keep in mind one thing. Kelly was never mean. He never said anything to be a bad person. He would come over and say, what game are you guys playing? And then some other members would just kind of reluctantly say it's chess. Or I remember he interacted with one of our members and he said, hey, remember me? And the other member was just looked down at the game and just said, yeah, I remember you, Kelly, with this disdain in his voice. Now fast forward maybe a month or two later, and I realize Kelly is just there almost every week, and he's at this point playing on an iPad. And then you see this group of people, I imagine from a church or something, though I'm not sure, walk over and join Kelly at the table he's sitting on. And they just interact with him like he's a normal human being, which stood out to me because no one had interacted with Kelly like he was a normal human being. I want to make this very clear, no matter where the story goes, I am not the hero of the story, because I was just like everyone else who disregarded Kelly's life as a human being. So it started to make me wonder, who is Kelly? Why do these well-dressed people come over and talk to him? They must be in a church, maybe he's homeless. And so that started to be my kind of thought, that okay, Kelly's just a drunk homeless person. Now fast forward to maybe a month ago, and it dawned on me that I don't think Kelly's drunk at all. I think Kelly has a mental illness. I don't know what it would be. I'm not, qualified to diagnose that, but something is just not right with Kelly. And it's not his fault at all. I think he's on assisted living, and I think he goes to the library because the staff there help him figure out things on his iPad. And I felt like a jerk, right? He's just a human being, just like any of us. And I kind of made that realization, and I slowly started to warm up to the idea, how can I interact with Kelly? And so 3 Tuesdays ago, actually, I finally introduced myself to Kelly. I was like, hey, Kelly, it's good to see you in here again. My name is Alex. And he was like, oh, Alex, it's so great to meet you. And I was like, it's really good to meet you too, Kelly. And then last week, I saw Kelly had this giant bag of cookies. Like, imagine the biggest bag of cookies you've ever seen, and then like double it by like 3. And cookies are my favorite food too, so I was like, damn, he's stacked. I seen him with this giant bag of cookies, right, with his iPad and all of this. And I'm still just playing chess, right? But eventually we get to the point where I'm no longer playing chess. You know, we have an odd number of people that night. I'm standing up, walking around, watching other people's games. And then, I'm sitting at the table. Kelly's over here. I'm sitting at the table. It goes this way. I'm watching the game, and I hear this coughing, right? You know that cough where you're disgusted by hearing because you can just feel the phlegm in your own throat? Kelly made that cough. But then it just kept going. And I'm still watching the game because I still have this ingrained feeling that Kelly's on his own. This is me. And he just keeps going. And you can tell people are getting frustrated about how long he's coughing. We're probably like 5 seconds in now. And maybe 7 seconds in, I look up, and he's just kind of hurled over and like grabbing his mouth, or like, covering his mouth, hurled over. And I'm like, okay. I think maybe he's throwing up. So I'm like, I think someone should get him a bin. And then no one even looks at me, no one moves. And I realize, well, what the hell? Alex, you go get him a bin, right? It's that logic where like, it's almost like that's not my problem. Maybe the staff should do it. But I'm like, what? No, so I ran over, picked up a bin by the desk, and brought it over to Kelly. And as I got maybe like 3 feet away from Kelly, I saw half a cookie on the ground. And in that moment, I realized Kelly wasn't throwing up. He wasn't drunk and throwing up like I imagine everyone was thinking. Kelly was choking. But Kelly had the realization that he can't just throw up on the floor. Kelly is smart enough to realize he can't just throw up wherever, so he was holding it in. The only throw up you see is on his sleeve, because he knew he was trying to keep it in. And the moment I walked up with that trash can, Kelly grabs for it and just lets it all go into the trash can. Because again, Kelly realizes he can't just throw up on the floor. It almost felt like Kelly was willing to like die for the sake of just not making a mess. And if I hadn't, again, I'm not the hero, but if I hadn't been there, I don't know what would have happened. No one paid any attention. No one. Not a single person there. And that was hard. I walked home that night, and I just thought, I can't imagine my life being so irrelevant that if I was choking, if I was even throwing up, that no one in a room would stop and help me. But I didn't know how to feel. I was confused. I just didn't understand why that happened. My heart just hurt. I didn't understand what was going on. And then again, this past week, Kelly wasn't there, but there's this member who comes to chess club named Jeremiah. Now Jeremiah is one of the sweetest guys of the club. He's just so kind, always smiling, always friendly. But I did notice that he always wears the same jacket and always has a backpack on him. And you start to kind of wonder, is Jeremiah homeless? And that night, after he left, it was confirmed. The person I was playing with said, man, I can't believe that guy has a sleeve out tonight in 10-degree weather. If you guys remember, Tuesday, it was like blizzard. Apparently he has a makeshift bed of just some like wooden beams out somewhere and like kind of sleeps on that to stay off the ground. And again, and by the way, he was given a free chess set, which I think was pretty cool, and he gave it to Moxie Java here in Moorhead because they didn't have a set. Like he wanted to provide for someone else. And I think, and the point of that one too is that I walked there before I even got there. I decided what accessories I wanted to put on, what jacket I wanted to layer with another jacket. How can I protect my new sound canceling headphones from the cold? And then there's this guy, sweetest guy, who's gonna sleep outside that night. And I have an apartment, a brand new car, everything I could possibly want to survive, and so much more. The King's Gambit is, the premise of it is that you're willing to sacrifice a pawn for your own advantage of position. And I felt like that was an apt title for this, because there are so many people we disregard and belittle in our lives inherently by the things we buy, by who we don't say hello to on the street. And we do it kind of to protect ourselves, to kind of advance our own position. And that was the realization. That's why I was so confused, because I hadn't quite come to terms with the fact that that's why I ignored Kelly for so long. That's why I'm unappreciative of everything I have, and the ability to buy everything I have is because I don't want to interact with what makes me realize I'm willing to give for myself, but not for others. And that's why I labeled it and named this the King's Gambit. And that void of how to feel was finally answered. But I do admit, it hit me right in the feels. Thank you.